Hi, David here from Making Stuff Easy. Today I'm going to be upgrading my trusty Dell XPS-15. It's a 9560 model. More disk, more RAM, more good. Let's get on with it. So while I'm doing this with my Dell laptop, this process applies to many other types of laptops. It's just the hardware that will actually be particular. Of course, look at the cautionary messages at the end of this video regarding your warranty and the like. Now we're going to actually assess which components will be upgraded. We're going to prepare for that upgrade. We're going to replace the components, and these may differ for you. We're going to reinstall Windows 10. We're going to apply the security updates. And we're going to check the upgrade is successful. And of course there's some troubleshooting guidance at the end. So let's see which components will be upgraded. I was considering changing my storage, my RAM or memory, and Wi-Fi cards. Now when it comes to storage, I've got an NVMe SSD. You can actually get that into multiple formats, such as a 2.5 inch, and also a traditional hard drive. When it comes to RAM, just make sure you get the right size and speed for your system, and the Wi-Fi card you can change if you wish. Now I'm actually going to find out what I've got on my machine at the moment, so I'll go into the taskbar, right click and go to System Manager. And you can see that I had 8 GB of RAM. And I've also got a PC NVMe SK SSD drive installed as well. This is fairly generic. And what I'm trying to do is actually get that improved from a performance perspective. I'm going to ignore disk D because that's just another external drive. And this is my Wi-Fi card. I don't have any challenges with the Wi-Fi card at the moment, so I'm not going to upgrade that. That's a little fiddlier, but lots of people do it. So here's what I've decided. I'm getting a much faster, double the size hard disk drive and not an SSD. I'm changing the RAM, doubling its size, slightly faster, but I'm not changing my Wi-Fi card. I haven't got any problems with it. So here's the SSD. It's a 970 Evo from Samsung. 500 gigabytes, pretty cute in this little box there. Then looking at the RAM, I've taken 16 gigs of crucial memory, DDR4, into 8 gig DIMMs. Now for my laptop I need 2 screwdrivers, a T5 Torx and a small crosshead screwdriver. It may differ for you. I also need a version of Windows 10 downloadable, and we'll see how we're going to do that. So now we'll walk through the 4 steps for preparing for the upgrade. This applies to most laptops with Windows 10. First step is we're actually going to extract the Windows 10 key. Using the command here, we open up the command prompt to run it as administrator by right-clicking. And then using this command here, we actually will get the key out. Okay, you need to write this down and be very careful how you write it down. Make sure it's accurate because you may need it later on. I didn't for my laptop, but you may for yours, depending on different brands or models. Now we're going to create the Windows 10 recovery USB drive. So there's a Microsoft, there's a link down the page below. You're going to download the tool and you're going to run it. When it's actually running, it's going to have to run as administrator, of course. And I'll tell you it's getting a few things ready. Now agree to the conditions, of course. Read it all if you want. Once the tool's up and running, we're actually going to take a few options here. We're going to create installation media. Click on Next, take the default settings, use a USB flash drive option, and then very carefully select the right drive because it will override it without checking. And once it gets going, light yourself a cup of tea and wait. It can take between 40 minutes and 4 hours to download that file for whatever reason. It's only 10 gigabytes, and it'll tell you your file's ready. And that's what should be the contents. Now we're going to make a list of the apps on your laptop so you can recover them afterwards. So we're going to go into add or remove programs on the start menu, and then we're going to look through this list and just jot down the programs that you actually want, or the apps you want to actually have installed again when you start up. And then of course back up your personal files. Think about your documents, your pictures, your videos, your desktops, your downloads, and any other things. And even your browser settings as well if you need to. Now we're actually going to be looking at replacing the components. This is particular to this machine, and will vary for your particular machine. But there's my USB 10 Windows installation. There's the RAM, new disk drive or SSD, and my 2 screwdrivers. And that's pretty much what I need, of course, in top of the laptop. So put the laptop head down on a good surface. My laptop's got 12 screws, 10 around the edges. And I use a T5 Torx screwdriver for that. And under the flap there's 2 crosshead screws in there as well. It's useful to actually have a little bowl to put them in as well so they don't roll off. And a magnetic head on your screwdriver is very, very useful for these tiny screws. So the magic of editing, I've done all 10 on the outside, and here we are doing the excitement of the 2 internal screws with the crosshead screwdriver. And there's 12 lovely screws. Now I'm using a flathead screwdriver to very carefully prise the case apart. It should click apart. Just be very careful here. You can put a piece of tape on the end of the screwdriver if you wish, or you could perhaps use something else. It can take a moment to actually do this one, but a little bit of caution is worthwhile. So once the back's loose, you can take it off and have a look underneath. In this particular case, I've actually got a plastic pad there which I need to make sure is in place when I put it back in. There's it sits on top of the SSD. So looking inside the machine, the key components we're interested in at the moment are, this is the NVMe SSD, and I'm going to replace it with a new drive. And these are the 2 RAM chips. Those are 2 4GB DIMMs, and here's 2 8GB one, making a total of 16GB, and it's slightly faster. Let's have a look inside as well. And this is the Wi-Fi card. As I said earlier, I'm not going to replace this one, but some people do. So taking out the SSD is a very simple process. Undo this screw. And it's very fiddly, so just put it to one side and make sure it doesn't get lost inside the case. Then using a plastic card, you can prise the SSD up into this position about 20 degrees and then gently wiggle it out. Just in case you weren't sure, it says SSD where it's got to go. We'll put the new one in. It's really just a process of reversal. Put it in at the 20-degree angle, and then using the screwdriver. Again, this is very fiddly. I just put the screw back in. Now the RAM is very simple. For each DIMM, pull the levers on either side so that it springs up, again to about a 20-degree angle. And note the layout of the card in that slot there. And repeat with the second DIMM module. Now taking the new memory module, slide it in very gently in the same way. 15-degree lean, push down, and it will click into position. And surprise, surprise, repeat for the second memory module. And that's it for these. Now, whilst you've got the machine open, have a look around. We've got a couple of cats, so no surprise we've got a few cat hairs in there. You may have your own issues there, but just check it all out. And there she is, pretty as a penny. New RAM, new disk drive. I'm going to just make sure that this pad is in the right place still. To sit on top of the SSD. And pop it back on. And depending on your laptop, this may click in or just sit in. Once you're satisfied it's correctly positioned, then of course you've got to pull all the screws back, so the 10 around the outside and the 2 under the flap. That should be it. So then we start to boot it up, and the system will actually say, hey, I've got a different amount of memory. And in this particular case, I chose to say continue. All I need to go off and do is scan. It didn't come up with any errors for me. If you've got any problems, then just open it up again and just see whether you've seated the DIMM chips and or the disk drive or SSD correctly. Now this is reinstallation of Windows 10. Remember that USB key you created earlier with the image for Windows 10? Install that into your laptop and start your machine. It should pick it up and read from it immediately. And there you go, Windows installation. I'm taking the English United States language. Because I'm in Australia, I'm going to choose the Australia time and currency format. I'm going to leave the keyboard as default. Oh, let's install it, as if we weren't sure. You can read this agreement if you want to, but accept the terms and click on next. Now what you're going to do here is a custom installation only advanced. Okay, and here we actually see our new disk drive, our SSD. It's 500 gigabytes in size, 465 usable. I'm actually going to set it up to be half and half for the operating system, and also some for data and applications. So we're going to click on New here. And we're going to change the size to 512 megabytes. I'll rephrase that one, 512 gigabytes, and we have to specify in megabytes. And apply, and it'll tell you it's actually going to create multiple drives for recovery options. We'll see what that looks like in a moment. And there we go, it's created 1, 2, 3 and 4 for the operating system and recovery partitions. And there's at the end of it is drive 0 unallocated space, is these 210 gigabytes that I chose to use as the residual. It's going to be for my apps and data. Click on next, and it runs through, and I'll speed this up a bit with the installation. This should take about 20 minutes, depending on the speed of your machine. Now the next step says it's installing updates. Not sure what that does, but it's certainly not the security updates I'll be looking at in a moment.
Hi there, I'm Cortana, and I'm here to help.
Chirpy, isn't she? Now, if during the installation you actually see the screen, just click on I don't have a product key. It will fix that in a minute. Let the process of the installation complete. And voila, Windows 10 Basic is installed. When I say basic, it doesn't have very much in there, and of course you've got to add your security patches, your applications, and all the other goodness. Now we're going to be applying security updates. This is always an exciting stage. Unfortunately, the version that they put down on the key for you download doesn't have all the security updates in it, isn't up to date, so you're going to have to go through this process. So run Windows Update from the Start menu. Click on Check for Updates. Let's do its stuff. Now I'll start off with a whole swag of security updates that you need to install. Just give it a moment to think. It's obviously got to get in contact with the servers and the like and check out your system. And then it'll start to install them. Now you can expect to have to do this a couple of times because additional patches will be added in order of precedence. So do this until the list is empty. Repeat and rinse. So rinse and repeat. Okay, now here's the fun bit. Did your upgrade work? You can see here in System Manager I've got 16 gigs of RAM at the slightly higher speed. Well, that's good. And we've got a new disk, it's the NVMe Samsung SSD 970. So did we get any gain? Well, yes, these are never benchmark scores. SSD is more than twice as fast and the RAM slightly faster. But let's look at some big applications I commonly use. No Man's Sky is a big game. It's gone down from 40 seconds load time down to 14, that's significant. And DaVinci Resolve, good results there too. So that's a good troubleshooting. We're hoping everything's gone okay, but if not, then do these things. Check the components are correctly installed. Wiggle them about a little bit once you open up the case and just make them correctly seated. You can of course reinstall your original SSD and your RAM as well to see if that's causing you any problems. And of course you can seek professional assistance either from a specialist or maybe one of your relatives who knows a bit more about computers. Now, of course, here's a tip. You can temporarily swap in your old SSD if you need to recover additional files. Now remember, we actually said about this activation windows. On some laptops, you'll be prompted when the installation to actually provide the key. So go into the Start menu, into the Activation function, and very carefully enter your key into this and click Next. It will tell you if the Windows is activated. If it doesn't work, then do some searching on Google, and this is what it should look like when you look at activation next time. And here's a bonus section. What can you do with that SSD? It's not bad, it's probably working okay. It's still something like 256 gigabytes. You can get a cute little case like this. Only about $30, and it fits in very nicely as well. It gets rather warm in there, so don't use this for extended periods of time. It comes with its own cable and a cute little screwdriver too. What's not to like about it? So here's a quick video of the installation. Just pull it apart. You'll see it takes different sizes of SSD. So as you might expect, just undo that screw, slide it in the same way, 15-degree angle, gently swap it in. And there you go, recycling a cute little SSD drive using your old hardware. Now caution, this process is substantially relevant to most laptops, but it will differ depending on the device. Before starting, make sure you read these instructions. Be aware that you may void your warranty. Create backup copies of all your data before proceeding. But having said that, I hope it all goes well for you. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.